They actually make billions of dollars a month as of 2021, which is unbelievable. I think just recently, El Salvador made Bitcoin legal tender. This was as of the week of June 2021. And they are thinking of using volcanic energy to mine, which would be 100% clean and efficient, which is, I swear, we're like living in the future. Anyway, you can participate in Bitcoin's decentralized peer-to-peer network in one of a couple different ways. First, you could run what's called a full node. A node is just another person or computer that's participating on a computer network. So your computer, whatever you're on, that's considered a node, N-O-D-E, a node. And by running a full node, that means you're running the full Bitcoin software, which includes the entire blockchain, which at this point is really big. It's several hundred gigabytes. The second way you can participate is by mining or validating the network transactions, which is really the heartbeat of the network and where you can make the most money. And we continue to talk about mining. That's not so easy for us to get into. In 2011, when my friend introduced me to it, we could have used our CPU, our PCs, actually no, it was graphics cards. We could have used graphics cards at that time, and we probably could have got a bunch. But if you remember my story, or if you haven't watched it yet, I wasn't ready yet. I didn't understand it fully, and so I needed to take time to learn about it. But that's kind of how the evolution of this started in 2011 to 2013, where ASICs came out until, gosh, almost 10 years later, and these massive ASIC farms and companies that are mining. So those are the two ways you can participate in the Bitcoin network. How these two ways specifically help the network is by running a full node. That means you're turning on the software on your computer and running it so that you download the entire blockchain, which is the transaction history of every transaction that's ever happened from other participants on the network. And this helps the network because the closest participant, like geographically in the network, like if you're close, like local, not too far, city, country, the closer you are to another node, another computer who has the full blockchain, you can share resources. That's what a peer-to-peer network is. That's why Napster was so effective, is because you could share resources, split up parts of a file. And that's what this does in this helping out with the network by running a full node. I know this kind of sounds, you're probably thinking, if you've never heard this stuff before, like, I don't know, something out of a movie or totally foreign. And I get that. Again, these are new concepts for many of you. But it is pretty interesting when you think about kind of where technology has gone and where we're even going to be in the future. But if it doesn't interest you that much and you're thinking, wow, this is a lot, just try to understand the basics of what I'm saying in my supplemental notes from a high level, because really, again, I'm hoping you have a basic Bitcoin understanding of how it works, what the mining is, the addresses, and the benefits of this network. So running a full node helps those in the network who are closer to that participant, who maybe already have the full blockchain downloaded, and it could help you get up and running faster as they share those resources. And once you have the full blockchain, you can help others. And it's not hard to do. Anybody can run a full node. The problem is, as I just said, the blockchain is really, really big. It went from being a couple gigabytes to now, I think it's up to 400 gigabytes, and it's rising. And that blockchain is a record of all the transactions that have ever been done, which is going to be our next section. And that blockchain grows larger every day and kind of gets bigger and bigger as more transactions are transacted, because it keeps a record of everything. The second way you can participate in the network is by mining, okay? And the benefit to this is these computers lend their processing power to validate the Bitcoin transactions and try to solve a puzzle at the same time. These transactions are broadcasted on the network like a message, and these miners collect all of them and put them into blocks once they've solved that puzzle. And this happens every 10 minutes. I just showed you some pictures for how that works. And as long as it's checked out, that block and those transactions, it's added to the last block. Now, bad actors or criminals could try to sabotage the network. And I won't go into all the details of that, but just assume, like any story or any kind of reality, there's good guys and bad guys. But they could try to sabotage the network by using their processing power to undo a transaction or double spend a transaction and work backwards with some of the previous transactions to game the system. You could try to do that, but it's very difficult. As long as 51% of the network are good guys or good actors, then this will never happen. This kind of potential attack is called a 51% attack, and Satoshi did talk about it in his first emails and his paper. Other altcoins have suffered this attack and have succumbed to the attack. The thing about this, though, bad actors don't gain from this kind of attack ultimately. Because if they were to successfully pull off what this considered a 51% attack, the most that they could undo is one transaction. They can't keep going and undo all the transactions. They can't do that. It's impossible. And if somehow they did, the whole world would know about it immediately and see it on the network. And so the faith in Bitcoin would go to zero, which would mean the price would go to zero, which means what do they really gain? Their Bitcoin that they stole, assuming that they did, would go to zero. So it's actually why it's in everyone's best interest to support the network or become miners themselves. Criminals actually have more incentive to support the network and just steal someone else's Bitcoin than stealing from the network itself, which would damage the image and ultimately the price. Again, this was brilliant by Satoshi. One of Bitcoin's biggest benefits to the world is this decentralized peer-to-peer network. Because if the US government or any government for that matter, tried to ban or make it illegal, how would they stop it? How did that end up working for the recording industry or the motion picture industry? They weren't able to do it. You can't stop the internet unless you turn off the internet or kill the internet. There's too many things to gain from it. No, what ends up happening is you adapt. And so they have tried to do that. Banking and other, even governments, they now are talking about digital currencies. They want to join the club, but they want to control their own currency. Bitcoin's in the wild, it's free. And that's what freaks them out, is they don't control it. They can't make more of it. This network is anyone can go on, anyone can participate. Now, if Bitcoin was a centralized network, like Netflix, for example, they could storm the building that housed all of Netflix's servers and shut it down. You can't do that with Bitcoin, though, because it's all over the world. Everybody's computer can be running it. So therefore, they'll never be able to do that with Bitcoin because of Bitcoin's decentralized peer-to-peer network, which is a win for Bitcoin. So that was Bitcoin as a network, all right? So we talked about Bitcoin as a currency, Bitcoin as a mint, as a central bank, as a wallet bank account, and as a network. So lastly, we're going to talk about Bitcoin as a record of transactions or the blockchain. So one more.